This is Bat Ami Strul. Dolfi Strulovici was almost 19 years old on that spring night in 1944 when the German army was pushed out of Botosani by the advancing Russian troops. Unable to escape from the center of town, Dolfi and his family took refuge in their apartment on Botosani's main street, Calia Nazionale.
It was the night when the Germans left town. Was a night that I will never forget. It was in end of March, beginning of April, 1944. Most of the Romanians ran. They withdrew with the troops. What was left in the town were irregular troops, which was not disciplined, which was bandits, and Germans. Okay. They put explosives all over town. I forgot to tell you that the other brothers were forced to leave the house by the Romanian authorities who took over the property. They Romanized it. And only a father was left there because he was a war invalid. We were considered Jews of the second category, which was a little bit more privileged than most of the other Jews. So, and their apartments were occupied by a lieutenant from security, a guy by the name of Bita, with whom we developed a friendly relationship. And we had, in our apartment, we had a bathroom that was like it had a door that was identical with the wall. It was
Hidden door?
Hidden door? Not really hidden, but you couldn't easily make out that that is a door, you know. It was covered with the same kind of paper like the wall. The only thing it had a handle, okay, but otherwise you couldn't say. So we decided that we are going to hide. Vita has left, the officer that lived there left, and with the troops, and we were the only ones left there that night. And then we heard big trucks, German trucks, going to the center, to Calia Nazionale. And they were going from house to house to house. And we heard shots, and we heard yelling, and we heard screaming. And we froze. We turned all the lights off. We were sitting in that bathroom. We put a furniture, a big furniture. It was mirrors. It was an open mirror in the middle and two...
A dresser?
No. Yeah, you could call that.
A big dresser.
Yeah. And we moved it in front of that door to the bathroom. And we all put ourselves in the bathroom and we listened to what was happening and prayed. Dark, no light, there was no electricity anymore. You could only see the flashlights of the troops. And they were going from house to house methodically. And they arrived at our house. We could hear them coming on the stairs. We could see the flashlight, the lights of the flashlights there. And they were yelling and screaming and beating at the front door to be opened, to get in. And we waited there, we thought that was going to be the end. And suddenly, they went away. And we couldn't figure out until the following day. What happened is that Bita left his cards and his signs on that door. The officer, the Romanian officer, left that on the door, and they didn't dare breaking the door to come in. Because of that saved us. And the following day, as soon as the day came, we took whatever we could with us, and we went to our grandparents to hide in the special
Cellar?
cellar. Okay, the big, huge cellar. It was huge, with all sorts of walls, and you could have get lost in it. And they had casks with wine, and big ones. Okay, so the whole family came there. Whoever was around came there, and we were there. And you asked about the bombardments, and they came. The Russians, I remember we were carrying, it was me and Bob and my father, and we were carrying stuff from our home to our grandparents during the daytime. we could hear the noise of the guns that were close. It was as close as the Rakits, and which was the immediate little towns nearby. And they were shooting, and while we were coming to our grandparents, we were about 400 meters from there. The projectiles started coming over us. They were aiming at the Hispania, the church, which was right behind us, a little far. We were in between. Projectiles were going like this to get there. And my father told us down. he knew
We knew
how to
the
do it.
game.
Yeah. So we went down, and when there was, and we just covered ourselves under whatever protection there could be. And then when it quieted down, he said, "Come on, run." So you can imagine him running with his, but he ran.
Who else was
And,
with you?
Bob.
You, Bob, and
Yeah. And we were carrying stuff. And then another shooting spree started. Down we went, and we went in front of the Feller's house, and we finally in front of the Weissman house, and finally we arrived at our place at the pub. And we got in, and we went in the basement. As soon as we got in, and we put there was a wood cover over the cellar. You were covering we covered it, okay? And we heard shrapnel hitting the door right there. So we got there on time. I remember that. But that night was a horrible night. That day, the Russians came into the town. We were sitting there after we came in from this dangerous trip, and we suddenly heard, you know, the Kalashnikovs have a different sound. It's a musical sound, much less rough than the other guns. It's, I don't know how to explain that. And we noticed that the bullets that had been shot sounded differently, and we assumed that they were there.
so there's still bullets coming at you, just from a different source.
Well, we heard what was going on. We didn't know. Didn't dare get out. And we waited. It was the 5th or the 7th of April. That was when the Russians came in. It was
What year?
Right before 1944, right before Pesach. And they somebody knocked at the door of the pub, but we didn't open it. And then they yelled, they screamed, and we recognized a voice, a known voice of a neighbor. And he later got killed that night in the bombardment. And he told us, "You can come out, the Russians are here, you're safe." So
I guess not.
my father went out, and weather went out, and yes, we could see the near. We could see the Russian troops, irregular Russian troops, shooting in the air and yelling and screaming and singing, and tanks going in on the street between us and the synagogue. And we thought it was over. We were freed. So we all came out. Then these Russian guys started searching through the apartments. Whatever was not occupied, they started stealing. And then we heard that they started violating women and so on, and you had to hide again. There was Erev Pesach. I don't know if it was the same night or the following night. Erev Pesach. So it was the first Pesach free. It was like a new life beginning. And we got the first part of the Haggadah, and we got to eat, okay? And we got to the soup. When I got to the soup, we suddenly heard a big explosion that made the doors move just like that. And we froze. And then another one, and another one, and another one. And we left everything there. We went all to the basement. And there was a bombardment, a punishing bombardment. The line of the front was near Harlov, which was a city about 40 kilometers away from Botosani. They sent 3 planes, not more than 3. And they came and they unloaded the bombs. They went back. And we thought that was finished, you know. But then within about 20 minutes or 30 minutes, we heard the planes coming again. And when they were loaded, the engines sounded differently. Heavy with bombs. And they came and there's another set of bombs, okay, and they left, and then came back, and we understood that was going to be a big business. Some of the neighbors ran towards asking for shelter in our cellar, and opened the door, and they told us that already many people have died. It was terrible. It was horrific. They couldn't do anything, and you know they were coming again and again and again all night. And suddenly, during the night, we heard the bombs coming. It was like over, and then the trach, you know, and the ceiling of the cellar started, it was like moving, and a lot of dust came down, and I was sure that we were hit, you know. It was the vibration of the bomb, and there were two bombs that were left there. And what they did was they bombed the shore. They destroyed the big, beautiful city over there. And that was only 50 meters away from us.
Is there any message that you have that you want to leave your grandchildren and your great-grandchildren?
Well,
and your great-great-grandchildren?
No matter how hard the times are, never give up. Have hope, do the best you can to survive. And there will be hard times for every generation of Jews. And everybody at his turn will have to face it and make some decisions. And if you can learn anything from what has happened, maybe they can help you in the future. I wish you all who are going to watch that a happy and peaceful future. But just in case, be prepared.